The most common misconception about Stoicism is that it makes you stronger. But strength is not your real problem. Your real problem is that your mind has been running on a system designed to react, fear, and suffer automatically. Stoicism does not simply make you stronger, it rewires the system generating your reactions long before they ever reach you. And once you see that system clearly, you realize something uncomfortable. You were never as in control of your mind as you thought. Your current mind is running on a faulty factory default settings. When someone insults you, you fire back. When plans fail, you stress. When life gets hard, you ask, why me? You are not choosing these reactions. Your broken software is choosing them for you. Stoicism is the process of resetting the system. It installs a completely new system, a system where external chaos no longer dictates your internal peace. If you do not change the underlying code, no amount of positive thinking will save you. You will just be a weak system trying to run heavy modern stress. Pause for a second and notice this. You are currently a puppet to your environment. A bad traffic jam ruins your morning. A cold email destroys your afternoon. A text message left unread keeps you awake at midnight. You think you're free because you choose what to buy or what to watch, but emotionally you are in chains. Stoicism breaks those chains by altering the way your brain processes reality. It does not alter reality itself. It builds an unshakable wall between the events of the world and your internal state. By the end of this breakdown, you will understand the exact formula the ancient masters used to build an invincible psyche, including a hidden psychological paradox that almost nobody applies correctly. Think about what happens when you get a sudden, angry text message. Your heart races, your thumbs fly across the screen, you defend yourself. That's your default setting. React immediately. The first upgrade Stoicism installs is a mandatory pause between the stimulus and your response. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the ultimate human horror in concentration camps, noted that in that tiny space between stimulus and response lies our growth and our freedom. Marcus Aurelius did not have text messages, but he had untrustworthy generals and backstabbing politicians. Every morning, he looked in the mirror and reminded himself that he would meet meddling, ungrateful, and arrogant people. He did not say this to become bitter. He said it to prime his software. By expecting the chaos, he stripped away its power to surprise him. When the insult arrived, his system did not crash. It paused. It processed. It chose silence over rage. This is where most people get it wrong. They think the goal is to become an emotionless robot, a cold stone that feels nothing. That is entirely wrong. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about understanding them so deeply that they lose their power to control you. Marcus Aurelius felt anger. Seneca felt fear. Epictetus felt pain. The difference is they did not mistake those feelings for commands. They treated them as data. When fear arose, they did not run. They examined the fear. They looked it in the eye and asked, is this useful? Most of the time, the answer was no. The modern mind lets every passing emotion drive the car. The Stoic mind leaves emotion in the passenger seat and keeps its hands firmly on the wheel. There's a darker glitch in your current operating system, one that keeps you trapped in a cycle of invisible slavery. It's the constant, agonizing need to chase approval. We look at our phones to see who liked our photo. We change our opinions to fit into the room. We live our lives trying to satisfy an audience that doesn't actually care about us. Most people don't realize they're emotionally outsourced to other people's opinions. Epictetus was born a slave. He understood literal chains. Yet he argued that the man who craves outside approval is far more enslaved than he ever was. When your mind operates on the default setting of seeking validation, you hand the remote control of your emotions to complete strangers. If they clap, you're happy. If they ignore you, you question your worth. The Stoic rewrite changes this entirely. It shifts your default setting from chasing approval to seeking alignment with your own values. Your internal compass becomes the only metric that matters. You stop asking, did they like what I did? Instead, you ask, did I act with justice, courage, and wisdom? If the answer is yes, the crowd's silence cannot hurt you. If the answer is no, their applause cannot save you. And here's the dangerous part. If you commit to this path, you will become an outsider. The world does not like people who cannot be controlled by praise or blame. Society relies on your insecurity to sell you things you don't need. Your friends rely on your predictability to keep themselves comfortable. When you stop reacting to their metrics, you break the social contract of conformity. You become dangerous because you are independent. You become dangerous because you are free. This brings us to a fundamental problem that most people completely miss. You are likely treating your own mind as an ally when right now it's operating as your worst enemy. You might recognize yourself here. Look at how you handle discomfort. The default setting of the modern mind is simple. Resist it, flee from it, seek comfort at all costs. We turn up the heat when it is slightly cold. We scroll our phones the moment boredom hits. We avoid difficult conversations because they make our stomachs churn. Your current software tells you that discomfort is a threat to your survival, so you build a fortress of comfort around your life. But comfort is a trap. It softens you. It makes you fragile. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, used to spend a few days every month eating the cheapest food and wearing rough clothes. He would look at himself and ask, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He was intentionally stress testing his operating system. When you accept discomfort as training, your relationship with pain changes. A cold shower is no longer a punishment. It is a deliberate choice to prove your mind rules your body. A difficult conversation is no longer something to dread. It is an arena to practice patience. You stop viewing life as an obstacle course designed to break you and start viewing it as a gym designed to build you. Yet, even if you master discomfort, your mind still harbors a massive, hidden flaw. You are obsessed with outcomes. You want the promotion. You want the perfect relationship. You want the bank account to hit a specific number. And because you focus entirely on the finish line, you live in a constant state of anxiety. You worry about the variables you cannot control: the weather, the market, the opinions of your boss, the passage of time. This is where the old operating system breaks down completely. It binds your happiness to things you have zero power over. Stoicism introduces the dichotomy of control. This is not an abstract philosophical theory. It is a brutal, pragmatic razor. Slice everything in your life into two piles. Pile 1, things you control: your effort, your intentions, your words, your character. Pile 2, things you do not control. Imagine an archer. The old operating system tells the archer that success means hitting the target. So as the arrow flies, the archer panics. Will the wind blow it off course? Will the target move? The Stoic archer operates differently. He focuses entirely on the pull of the bow, the alignment of his stance, the focus of his vision. Once the arrow leaves the string, his job is done. Hitting the target is outside his control. The wind may take it, a bird may block it. The Stoic finds peace because his success is judged by how well he threw the arrow, not by where it landed. And this is where life stops feeling chaotic, not because life changes, but because your definition of success does. When you shift your mind to focus purely on actions rather than outcomes, anxiety evaporates. You can still strive for greatness. You can still build businesses and climb mountains, but you no longer tie your soul to the result. You become bulletproof because no one can stop you from executing your actions with excellence. Let us be honest with ourselves for a moment. Confront your own weakness. Think about the last time something went wrong. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe your relationship ended. Maybe you got stuck in traffic and missed an important meeting. What was the very first question your mind screamed? It was likely, why me? Why does this always happen to me? Why is life so unfair? Why can I not just get a break? This is the ultimate victim setting of the old operating system. It treats every setback as a personal attack from the universe. It wastes your precious energy looking backward, searching for someone or something to blame. It is a completely useless loop. You are crying over spilled milk while the house is burning down around you. The rewired Stoic mind deletes that question entirely. It replaces "why me" with "what now?" Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is not toxic positivity. It is not pretending that bad things are secretly good. It is a cold, calculated refusal to waste time complaining. Your car broke down. Why me is irrelevant. What now is the only question that matters. Call a tow truck. Read a book while you wait. Practice patience. Your business partner betrayed you. Why me gets you nothing. What now allows you to secure your assets, learn the lesson, and rebuild stronger. When you run the What Now software, you stop being a casualty of your circumstances. You become the author of your response. Every obstacle becomes raw material for your growth. But there is an even deeper illusion that your mind falls for every single day. You treat your thoughts as facts. When a voice in your head says, "You are going to fail this exam," you believe it. When it says, "Everyone is judging you right now," you get anxious. When it says, "You are not good enough," you sink into despair. You assume that because a thought occurred inside your skull, it must be the absolute truth. This is a catastrophic error. Your brain is a survival machine, not a truth-telling machine. It fires off random, panicked thoughts based on trauma, fatigue, hunger, and ancient evolutionary fears. Epictetus taught his students that men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things. The event itself is completely neutral. It is your commentary on the event that causes the suffering. The rewired mind learns to observe thoughts without obeying them. You become the referee, not the player. When a negative thought pops up, your new operating system catches it in midair. It looks at the thought and says, "You are just an impression, not the reality." If you feel a surge of anger, you do not let it dictate your voice. You sit with it. You watch it rise, peak, and fade away like a wave. You realize that you do not have to identify with every piece of trash that floats through your consciousness. You are the sky. The thoughts are just weather. Look back at your life over the last year. How many times did you suffer over things that never actually happened? How much energy did you burn defending an ego that does not exist? How many days did you lose to anger, anxiety, and regret? That's the tax you pay for running the old operating system. It's a slow, exhausting way to live. The upgrade is not automatic. It doesn't happen by reading a book once or watching a single video. It requires a relentless daily override of your habits. Tomorrow morning, your old software will try to boot up. It will tell you to check your phone immediately. It will tell you to complain about the weather. It will tell you to stress about the things you have to do. That is the moment of friction. That is where the work begins. You must manually intervene. You must force the pause. You must choose the value over the approval. You must choose the action over the outcome. When you do this consistently, something strange begins to happen. The world around you will remain exactly as chaotic as it has always been. People will still be rude, plans will still fail, tragedies will still occur, but they will no longer have the power to break you. You will look at the storm, and instead of panicking, you will realize that your internal architecture is built to withstand it. You will face a major test of this system very soon. Life will present you with an unexpected crisis. Someone will lie about you, or a project you love will fall apart. Your old mind will scream for you to react, to fight, to fall into despair. The internal conflict will feel heavy, and your default wiring will fight desperately to maintain control over your sanity. If you want to keep running the old software that breeds anxiety, change nothing. Remain fragile, remain reactive, and let the world dictate your worth. But if you're ready to install the upgrade and defend your mind against modern chaos, hit the subscribe button to continue rewiring your mind. Prove to yourself that you are no longer a victim of default settings.
Most people will hear this and move on unchanged, but a few will realize something unsettling. Their suffering was never coming from life itself. It was coming from the system interpreting life. The question is not whether Stoicism works. The question is whether you are willing to stop believing your default mind.